Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Listen, this is our first official tech tour, and we're going to do it with Matt Miller from Worship Team Coach. We're here at First Baptist Church in Greenhills, Ohio, and it is, honestly, it's astounding the things that are happening here. So I want to show you what's going on. So come on, follow me inside. Hey Matt, what's up, man?
Hey man, thanks for coming down.
Yeah, buddy. No, thanks for having us. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So tell me, Matt, because you know, we got here and we're just like, wow, you know, some of the craziness is going on. Tell me a little bit about the church. Tell me where you've been. Tell me where you're at now, and tell me kind of the future, where you're going. And then let's take a little bit of a deep dive into what you've got going on.
Yeah, definitely. We were blessed with a blank slate, is what we like to call it here on this. So this church has been around for quite some time, and this is really kind of the biggest change in terms of like music. It was very traditional, like full choir, SATB, and then organ and grand piano. That was just kind of that was the music for this longest time. And then so I got here in March of 23. Okay. And the church had already decided, like, hey, that they understood we need to go kind of a different direction. So lots of things have happened just within the last even just few months, but over the last year, I'll go through some things that we've kind of implemented. So everything you see here that has like this deep navy, or kind of, it's called pencil point gray here on the walls, this was all white. These screens were not here, so these were actually they were like goldish beige, and behind these screens are actually all the speakers for this organ.
Oh yes, right? I know that. My church has had the same thing. We had it up in the upper area.
So like there's these storage units up there, but it's all like there's just all these speakers. And we actually, when we had our live sound come in, and we had the room tested for audio and that type of stuff, and because we know we have a big echo in here, and we got to do some paneling, that type of thing. But when we put this sucker like at just like a really core volume, it was actually louder than any of our full band volume on Sunday morning. Right. And so that was one of the things we had to talk about, even just with our congregation, of, it's so loud. And we actually like showed the math and like, well, the decibel level is actually louder with the organ than it is with a full live band. Anyway, so we've gone through not just physical changes of the room and space in here, but just also just some real hardcore relationship, like just growth things of like, hey, we're gonna have to be okay with not being okay for a little bit here. Absolutely. We gotta be able to continue to move forward. So that was part of the physical changes here. Like I said, we didn't have these screens, and we got pictures of what it looked like before here. This baptistry is still alive and well. I mean, it does have a tendency to leak every now and then, but but we still use it on there. So that's great. So there, like I said, there's a full choir on this. So again, this is kind of phase one. We just needed to get kind of like, we call it like triage, just getting things going. So now we have our wireless mics are out here. Again, it's not absolutely ideal where they're placed, but it's functional right now. And you can even come in here. This is our cheap way of doing lights. So this was like, $200 from Amazon just to get this old school box and these lights, just to have some sort of color on here. And again, a very basic setup. But then in the last few months, we got these backdrop panels, which have been awesome on here. And the versatility of them is great because they're all just these squares, and then these are just magnets. So you can have any design you want printed out.
Yeah, that's cool.
And they're just magnets, just on that, so you can hook them up like that, and you can put them as tall as you want, that type of thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's been a huge just visual for us, because again, just imagine everything you see that has that gray was white.
Yeah,
and there was nothing. Right,
and kind of how customizable are those panels?
Yeah, they can print out anything you want.
But I mean, can you move the panels around?
Oh, I can take these off here. These are just sitting here. I mean, you just pick them up and put them on any other of the legs.
Oh, that's cool.
They just stack up, that type of thing. This is the kind of the image that just kind of looked best for us right now, but you can change it out. You could even have words scripted out on this, and so we really like kind of what we have here, because this kind of this rotating boxes thing, because we have a lot of very just straight corners, like on the platform.
You're breaking up the dimension a little bit. Yeah.
So we did that, and we got the booth, and when we get this mat back up here on here, but none of this was here. The booth was not. We had no way to control the sound.
Right.
Of the drums here, right? Boom. And so now we can actually isolate the drum volume
That's pretty
right?
quiet when you walked in there too.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
great.
Yeah.
We do the same thing at our church as well. We have a drum cage.
So we got the
Not quite as large as this. But it was custom built.
So we got the booth, and this helps out a lot, just so they can
So talk to me about what you're running in here, because it looks like you're only running. Looks like you're running 2 overhead mics. It looks like you have a snare. Looks like you have a tom mic on this front tom, and then on the low tom.
Yeah, and then we have a kick drum.
And then you have a kick. So you're running total 6. 5?
Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah.
Okay, so you're running
4 on the kit and then 2 overheads.
6 mic and then 2 overheads. Okay, and you don't find that the overheads are being overpowered by snare or anything like that?
No. We actually have a pretty solid core sound.
Dialed in pretty well.
Yeah, and we're blessed with
And then what's this box up here?
Oh, that little box up there, that is one of our Mevo cameras on there. Big fan of just the kind of Mevo environment. So this stays plugged in at all times. So then when I queue up our Mevo Go app on the iPad, that automatically comes up. It just stays there. It's always powered up, ready to go at 100% on that. So that was just a really kind of a set it and forget it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which was great.
Right. And I know that you've got more of those sitting around.
Yeah,
so
this is another Mevo that we have here. It's just a side shot, and then another one on that side, just to kind of get the some intricate keyboard parts, that type of thing. And then this is again this is phase 1, right?
But really quick, the first thing I've noticed though, like in the space, like the first thing I've noticed, and if you're looking here, there's no stage monitors, there's no wedges on the floor.
Yeah.
So there's no wedges, and then of course you're using the table in the middle that we've used earlier, but you're using the table in the middle as the pulpit area.
Yeah.
So you've chosen to do this wide and open. Is there a reason why?
Absolutely, yeah. So I don't like to just see wires. Right?
Wires are evil. Yes, I agree.
So I want to make sure that it looks clean. And squared away, right? And also I want our vocalists to be able to use this depth that we have, right? So you'll notice the way we kind of do things, like let's say we start out a song and maybe it just starts with one vocalist, right? Then they're up to the front. But then when the rest of the vocalists, the BGVs, come to sing with them, they actually take steps forward. So it puts pressure on the congregation to sing. Right, and so we feel that like if it sounds different, then it should look different.
Yes. Okay. Right? So your presence got to match your performance.
Absolutely. So everybody sings every single note of every single song. It's just a matter of are they on the microphone or off the microphone.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like the only thing that changes is that when they get to put their mic up, then they just walk up to the edge of the platform here. That's just how that works. So we try to use all this space, and then.
So is phase 2 going to do kind of like this this runway outwards and? Everybody's running down the aisle.
Phase 2 will obviously be, mounting our speakers and having like a line array and that type of thing to get them off the floor, because before these guys have been great again for like phase 1 on here. We had this old school Bose system up here.
Yeah.
Everything was running through.
Everybody remembers the old schools.
Yeah.
The 1960s, 1970s Bose.
That's what it was,
man. The Bose, baby. I remember those.
And again, but for the application, all they needed was just a speaker mic. Because these were all, the organ was squared away with all these speakers up here.
Sure.
And then they mic'd the piano, and they had some other inputs and that type of thing. But for what they needed it for, that was a good system for them.
Sure.
And they just kind of mic'd the choir with some overheads, and they were good to go. This room wasn't made for a full band with live sound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And so you wanted that natural reverberance like with a choir. So it's a great space for that. Anyway, so we got these speakers that again are just making things happen for us. It's right now it's at a sustainable pace of like, okay, we're functional right now.
So phase 1 is functional.
Phase 1 is functional. Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay.
It's not. We don't have all our fancy bells and whistles or anything like that. And you can notice like we didn't even have these 2 screens here until a couple of months ago. We had this giant screen up here that would cover the cross every Sunday, and it just didn't sit well with me. So in the interim, before we got these screens mounted, and I got pictures of this too, we had a screen just right here on some legs that probably went to about this high, and we just used upper thirds, for the words on that, because we just felt it was important for that the cross not be covered up.
That's crazy.
So we almost had to like slow down before we could speed up. Right?
Okay.
And so these screens were sitting in my office for months before we could actually get them mounted, because we wanted to do paint first before we mounted and all that stuff. So it was kind of a sequence of things that needed to happen. But yeah, phase 1 is really kind of complete, and we're working on just really kind of getting the finances together for the next phase for that. So yeah, the Mevo cameras are here, and then this is our this is our main wide shot. This is my
see this?
Pixel 6 phone.
They're
here.
using a camera
Okay,
phone.
that's all it is, and that's our wide shot that we use, and it gets the job done. It's
That's crazy.
That's just all our,
But
our
it
shot
works,
is.
man.
It does.
I mean, but it's working for you, so
Yeah.
that's what matters. You know?
And the beauty of it is, and we'll get to that, I guess, in a minute here, is how we're able to kind of really connect all this stuff wirelessly.
yeah, we'll get into that in just a second.
So
'cause we know
that's
you're-
why we went with that kind of.
Yeah, we know you're
product.
using some NDI and some other things coming in
Yeah.
there. So let's take a look at the back of the rack mount system back here. Mm-hmm. We'll take a look back here and see.
So this is what we're dealing with before we walk, like before we
So
renovated.
so this is the before then.
Yeah, this
Okay.
is. Look at this. I think this is the switch. All right, so this is what we had.
Yeah, I'm familiar with this
This
one.
was, this is what they were doing. There was all these wires, like from just the old equipment. All this stuff was just scattered all over the place. So we cut this hole in the wall literally to run all the drum cables, everything, which is nice. But this was their setup.
Is that a digital effects processor?
I can tell you, it's older than I am. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's an effects processor. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so we just ran this fiber not too long ago to kind of house it all. But this is what they were working with. I mean, it's what was useful for their time. I'm not dogging anybody. It's just what they had on that. So,
And you've obviously moved to powered speakers now. So.
yes. And so here is our rack back here. So we're running the brains of the M32, right? Just the rack version of that, and then obviously the DL32 digital stake on that. These are just some extra microphones that we don't have room for in our box on the platform. So these aren't mission critical microphones that we use every week because of the line of sight, but they still work. We use them for the baptismal sometimes, and so it works out. And then we're actually using.
Look at this rack server, dude. This thing's
This
huge.
thing, it was $100, and I got it.
You got
is
this
what
at
that was.
$100?
Yeah,
Dang, man.
Yep. Somebody was getting rid of it, and I was like, "Cool, it's overkill, but it's functional, and it's tucked behind here
now,
anyway."
You're gonna see this on the
So
stage
this
later.
digital snake is from the Roland that you'll see in a little bit,
great.
but we're also utilizing this to help us with some of our live stream audio to get to our BoxCast. Again, it's not pretty, but it's functional right now. And
That's kinda
again,
the idea, right?
we've done this on a very, very tight budget. Just to give some perspective, our entire worship budget for this year is under $5,000.
Wow.
Okay, so that's what we're making work right now.
That's
with
not
all
including that's not including subscription fees or.
No, that is.
Oh, that's what I'm
including
saying.
that, yeah.
Like you're.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's part of the $5,
You're
yeah.
including in part of the $5. You're including
Yeah.
subscription fees to things.
Yeah, all the multi-tracks,
multi-tracks,
ProPresenter,
upgrades.
Yeah, all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
So under $5,000.
Uh-huh.
So this is phase one. So how
Yeah.
many phases are you looking at doing?
So we have 3 complete phases. Now, this equipment is all owned by one of our faithful team members as well, who is an audio engineer and an RF engineer. And so when we have him here, when he's not running live sound front of house or behind the kit for us, then he's adjusting the live stream audio back here on that. So
you have a dedicated space now that is specifically for isolating the person who's doing the live stream mixing.
Exactly. Yep.
For the live stream.
Yeah, because you just can't have you can't have the person in the same room that's running the audio for the live stream, even if they have headphones on. It's just like the sound is just different.
Right, for sure.
You got to have a different space for them. So that's when we have the flexibility to have him back here, because again, he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for us, and that's one area we're trying to get 3 deep in. To just have people back here, and then it's easier to train somebody back here as well in the moment, because you can talk to them of like, hey, this is what we're listening for here.
Right.
This is what we
and
want.
You're not going to be distracting out there. Right. Exactly.
So not only will this be our audio like live stream studio, it's also going to be like our training ground.
Okay.
So we're using
So
it, man.
let's go on up to the sound booth area and take a look up there, and we'll show you that next.
Yep.
Matt, walk us through. Let's start on this side and here, and walk us through what you've got going on, because there's a lot of equipment here that is no longer being used apparently. So go ahead, man, take it away.
Yeah, this is kind of the epitome of taking lemons and making lemonade on some things here. So before this board was here, we had an Allen and Heath analog board where I would say 90% of the board didn't work anymore. Back in its heyday was really good, but monitors, I mean, it was a rough. So we got this donated to this was donated to us by a faithful now member of our congregation from a church in Long Island they were upgrading their gear. And when I got this, my audio engineer said, hey, we can use certain functions of that, but it's really just going to be a distribution center, right? So we're using the M32, but we're using the fiber to talk to this so we can get audio out of our computer to the board and to the room as well as to our stream. So really, we're only utilizing volume of the computer and then overall volume of what feed is going to the live stream. So right now, we don't, like I said, when we don't have somebody back in the room, we don't, like, whatever is coming out of the sanctuary, that's what's going to our stream.
Right.
Right. And it's not horrible. It's really, like, because it's a good sound in here, but it's just you don't have the benefits of having somebody specifically listening just for the ears of the stream.
Sure.
Right. But it's functional, right? And to somebody who's not an audio person or always like listening for things, they're not going to be able to tell of like, oh, that's such a different sound. But you're actually getting the same room sound, which is nice. Because it's the same feed. It's just a mere mix.
And I saw you had audience mics over there, crowd mic.
We do,
set up. So you are getting the ambient feeds coming in. Right?
We are. Yep. So we're getting so we only get the crowd mic on the live stream when we have somebody at the stream.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. So when we don't have somebody back there, we don't get it, but we get it in our ears, which is nice for people. Yeah.
You should not sound isolated, because that can happen a lot of times in an isolation.
So we're using the benefits of just having this donated to us, again, just as a distribution center, and then we're running a lot of things with ProPresenter. So we probably use more features of ProPresenter than most churches do. So all of our Mevo cameras go through the Mevo app on this iPad. And what I like best about just kind of the Mevo environment is that this is my phone, but I just have the Mevo app on my phone, right? So I can connect any real kind of like smartphone as an additional camera, which is convenient. And then, so that drum cam, that's one of the Mevos. This is one of the side shots, that's a Mevo. And that's the other side shot. Again, we can zoom in on the fly on all these, which is really cool. And then that's our standard kind of wide shot. And again, that's my phone. Right, and it looks just fine. So then we take this video feed out and put it into ProPresenter.
And you're doing that via NDI into the computer system.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, so this is all still wireless. Like that was just charging it, obviously,
right.
On here. So this is taking the feed.
So your cameras are over Wi-Fi, though.
They are. And we suffer the consequences sometimes too of not having them hardwired.
Having the Wi-Fi interference that can be caused by that. Okay.
Yeah, and so sometimes we might get a little. It might freeze for a second. The audio is still rock solid on there, but again, for phase 1, like it's pretty squared away. So
what's phase 2 look like for cameras?
So phase 2, things are all wired, and we have an actual like switch, and again, that person that's a separate role. Right. Is that all they're doing is video? Right. Right. Right now, sometimes it's just this person. Sometimes we only have one person here at ProPresenter, and so what I have to do for that is I schedule the camera shots and I put that shot on the slide of ProPresenter. So when we're at verse 1, maybe we just want a certain shot. I just have it like this, and so then when they go to another slide, it might automatically trigger that. Right. And so the ProPresenter person, all they're doing is they're still just clicking, and it's going to different shots. So that's the lower third shot of that. So I put all of the looks on here as well within ProPresenter.
Sure.
And these are all timed. Like the ProPresenter operator doesn't have to do anything until we're actually in the service, right, in the gathering. So all of these pre-service announcements that will loop, I've already put the song of the exact playlist of what I want in here. So it'll go through all these songs, and it's timed, right? So we have all these timers that we utilize. So this person doesn't have to worry about starting stuff at a very specific time. It just happens every single week with these announcements. And then the countdown is the same way. As soon as this countdown gets triggered by the calendar, it overrides what was just playing, plays the countdown. Now for us, I always have the countdown music as the next new kind of high energy song that we're going to learn as a church.
Gotcha.
So they've actually heard this song 4 or 5 times before we do it, together as a congregation. So that's intentional, right? And then we take the platform, that type of thing. So this is basic ProPresenter stuff. This is the other piece of equipment that we utilize. This is our stream deck. And so, if all else fails, they just know, the ProPresenter operator knows just to hit this clear button, and that clears everything out instead of having to do something with the mouse. The other thing is we start streaming, right? Obviously, we use BoxCast, right? So this is down here.
Yeah, so we have the BoxCaster down here, so they are using BoxCast as a service for this.
So we're using BoxCast with this. And again, for phase 1, we can't use all the functions of BoxCast at the moment, but that will be part of the plan when we go to phase 2. So right now, we are streaming with ProPresenter, but we're streaming to BoxCast to then distribute the signal to our other platforms. So here's our capture settings, right here. So this is like our BoxCast. So we're using the RTMP. And so when we start that stream, it's automatically going to go to our BoxCast broadcast that is already set up. And that is super simple here and that's what I always say I love most about BoxCast is when I hit live here, it is automatically going to BoxCast and it's automatically going to YouTube and Facebook, and my operator didn't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that is such a huge convenience because for a lot of small churches, they might only have 1 or 2 people up here.
So what were you guys doing before that? Before you started using BoxCast, what were you doing?
Before we used BoxCast, we were just using ProPresenter, and we could only stream to one destination.
Okay.
Right. So we could only stream to like YouTube, and then I would have to copy the YouTube link and put that in a Facebook post, and like all these extra things like on the fly, right as like the service was getting ready to start. And we ran into just so many issues of like the connection and just all the Facebook stuff that they have to deal. It was a mess of things. And I always want to make sure that I can set up my ProPresenter person for success every single week.
Yeah.
So like it's when we're recording this, it's Tuesday, but on Monday, I put in everything for that Sunday. All these things are here. So when they come into rehearsal, they're just pointing and clicking on this. They're not having to put anything in. The only thing we have to put in kind of the day of is the message. But all the shots, all the looks are already squared away. So for example, on our announcement slides for pre-service announcements, it automatically goes to kind of like full screen for the live stream. But then when they click the countdown, same thing happens. But then when we go to that first song, all they have to do is click that slide, and now we're into our live shot. Just like that, just by clicking the slide. So I try to utilize a lot of things within ProPresenter to make it simpler and easier for this.
So you're building automation and using ProPresenter as a hub for it. That's pretty cool.
Through their macros and through their looks. It's super convenient because I can do all this stuff ahead of time, and then on Thursday night when we have our run through for rehearsal, they get an actual dress rehearsal too of exactly how things are going to go. If there's a special element like a video, it's already in here. I have that prepped for them. I don't have my people do that on their own time. Yeah. Because where we're at now, I can't waste their time to do that. I can't expect them to come in and put in all this stuff. Now, we definitely utilize multi-tracks for the templates, so that makes it super easy because then, we use their slides as well. So there's the stage display, which happens there,
right?
And everything. So this is super helpful, and to be able to change a key by just a click here, to depending on what instrument I'm playing.
And you're linking this into Planning Center.
So we have that functionality. What we do is I just save them to that. So because there's sometimes there's been a little bit of a blip that just hasn't worked well, and I think it has to do a lot with just the machine that we're running. So we have a lot of the songs already kind of saved in our multi-tracks library, and so I just add them in like that. But what it does do is it can save each arrangement that I want, and so I'm just dragging and dropping. On that, so it's
the beauty of multi-tracks, man.
Oh, absolutely.
The beauty of multi-tracks.
Now you're paying for it, that's for sure. But you were paying for so much more convenience.
Yeah. And then easeability, and then taking that convenience and putting it into a seamless, flawless, or a more convenient service for everybody. And it makes sense from this regard. So that's awesome.
Super.
And then obviously this monitor is just handling your output, so it's mimicking and mirroring what you're getting on your
screens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this camera's not being used, right?
No, but that's what we used previously.
Before, right?
Yeah. So this was old school. I think I still have some of the cables here.
So this is the before.
Yeah. This was Matt got here, and it was this stuff going into the camera and the analog board they had at the time, just so we couldn't. Nothing could be live.
Wow.
It was just recorded to an SD card on that, and then it would have to be uploaded. And you had to have somebody here, and it was just the one shot, and it was just rough. It was rough on there, and then you had to have somebody here every single time to be able to do this. Like I said, we're with this iPad, I can hand it to anybody and say, hey, just click these boxes, and you're good to go. It's going to do its thing. They don't have to worry about anything, and they can zoom right from the shot, which I really like. On here, they can just immediately kind of double tap on some stuff, and it's going to zoom right in on that, and they can modify it. So it's user friendly for our volunteers on here, which I appreciate, and they can just move it around in real time, just like that, right? However they want on there, and then just go to the other shots. So I've been able to hand this to brand new people who've never operated cameras before, and I'm like, just hey, when in doubt, go to the main shot, and then you're good to go, and then just follow the action.
For sure.
So the usability of it is great.
That's awesome. Matt, again, man, thank you for your time, and we really appreciate the tour. But I do have a question. What does Phase 3 look like for the building?
Yeah, Phase 3, this is the dream, right? So Phase 3 is to actually level out the sanctuary.
Okay.
Okay, so from where we're standing right now, it's actually
'cause
that top
Older
step.
school churches, if you didn't know this, older school churches were actually built on
Yeah.
an incline
Yep.
because they wanted you to enter into the Holy of Holies, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's that aspect.
Yeah, and so this floor is sloped, right? And right now, it's just it's very straight on, right? And we would like to be able to use this room as a multi-purpose room instead of just Sunday mornings. And so we would level out this floor, and we would have chairs, not pews, right? Because then we can angle chairs the way we want, and then we can actually just make the stage, what we call it the platform, obviously, make that environment wider, so we have more use of it right now. Because right now we don't utilize the organ and the piano as much. We like to be able to use that space where those instruments are at. So those kind of go away, and we extend the platform. We treat the room acoustically with the paneling, so we know what needs to happen. It's just really just a matter of funds, right now.
Yeah.
And this room seats 511.
Okay.
That's the capacity of this room, and that is the goal, is to exceed capacity. And so obviously we can go to multiple services. We want to be able to reach this community, and right now it's not as welcoming as we would like it to be, right? On that, and there are different schools of thought on how the room should look, but that's part of phase 3. Again, leveling out the floor, getting chairs, extending the platform so we can just have more space, and really, obviously we have zero lighting. This is our lighting right now.
Yeah.
On and off. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, that is it. We have no way to control the lighting in here.
Yeah.
And that's a complete overhaul. But you only do it once, though. I mean, once everything's rigged up and you got trusting and everything.
But then it's just upgrades. It's just
right.
It's
Yeah.
adding the new light systems or whatever.
Right.
But then you also talked about earlier about your dream would be to bring the sound booth down,
yes.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then encase it a little bit to give it a little bit more of an isolation aspect, so
Yeah.
that way it's a lot less distracting, but
Right.
also provides the isolation so for your operators to talk to. So I mean, lots of big things happening here at First Baptist in Greenhills. Man, I am just truly grateful for your time,
No,
buddy. Thank you
likewise,
so
man.
much. All right.
Good.
Hey, if you want this or more content, make sure you subscribe and comment down below. We appreciate you, Matt. Thanks again, buddy. Have a good one.
problem.
all right?
Thanks, man.